Period. Hello, and welcome to County Crimes. I'm your host, Jade Bomlin. Here we discuss local crimes, murders, cold cases, and more. Today we'll be joined with our local guest, Lastasia. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Today we'll be covering the tragic case of David Patterson. And just a quick note before we begin, all the information regarding this case can be found on David's website. It's davids_law.com. And we'll get right into it. So it was February 19th, 2003. David Patterson was an 18-year-old. He went to Johnson City High School. He was a senior, and he was attending the birthday party of a friend. He was shot due to the supervising's of adults' lack of judgment skills when he decided that a loaded gun would make a fun party trick.
Yikes.
And a lot of kids at school knew David. My mom actually was supposed to be at the party, but she got caught sneaking out of her friend's window. And then her friend's mom, stayed outside the door at a table and watched them the entire night and was like, "You're not going to this party."
I mean, it's a good thing that they didn't go to that party.
Oh, definitely. And according to her recollection of events, the party was held at Nathan Zadufsky's house, which was just like another kid at high school. Everyone kind of knew him. And his father, Ronald, was there that night. He brought out his guns for guests to look at, and then things escalated from there. And at one point, Nathan had a gun in his hand, and it was shot and fired at David's head. And due to the underage drinking with guns and, guns involved, instead of calling 911, the guests proceeded to clean up the party, and everyone left assuming that David was dead. Which is not the smartest move on everyone's end, because he was still alive, and he was bleeding to death. And with a gunshot wound that severe, he couldn't speak. But we don't know if he could process thoughts or what was going on, but, he was still there.
Yeah, they just cleaned up and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow.
A quote from the family says, "We torment over whether David knew he was going to die, whether he tried to call out for help, or was he ignored? Did he feel pain? Was he able to hear his friends cleaning up the crime scene while he laid there dying?" That's a direct quote from them off their website. And then they also posted the initial Fox 40 police report, which when I clicked on the page, it was no longer there. The page no longer exists. So I'm glad that they had the information readily available.
Yeah.
It says, police are continuing to investigate the circumstances around the shooting death of a Johnson City High School senior. Last night, Johnson City police responded to a call at 161 Corliss Avenue in Johnson City and found a young man with a gunshot wound to his head. David Patterson was pronounced dead a short time later, and the owner of the house where Patterson was found, Ronald Zadufsky, was later arrested and charged with hindering a prosecution in the third degree and 2 counts of unlawfully dealing with a child.
Were those his final, charges? Was that all he got charged with?
So, I'll probably mention this again later on, but he was charged, and then he was supposed to be prosecuted at some point. I have the dates in here. It was some point in 2004 where he was supposed to be, his trial. And I did so much research, and there is,
just, nothing?
There's nothing about, was he ever sentenced? Did anything come out? I know that those were the initial charges.
Right.
But, as for if anything actually, came out of that.
Do they know who called 911? Or when that call came in or anything
It was from a local neighborhood call. Someone heard a gunshot.
So they heard the gunshot, so it wasn't them in the house.
No, not at all. Everyone cleaned up and left. None of the kids, I doubt the kids even, when they went home, they probably didn't tell their parents or anything, because it wasn't one of them. It was, one of the neighbors was hey, police,
we heard a gunshot, yeah. Wow.
And then let's see. The parents feel as though the worst part of the whole crime was the fact that no one called 911, as they are forever tormented with the question, if emergency services had been contacted right away, would he still be alive?
Right.
The 3 teenagers were sentenced for their roles in the fatal shooting, one of them being Nathan Zadufsky. There was definitely a lot more people at the party, but I think that there were 3 people that mainly came forward, and obviously Nathan was the one who was targeted.
Right.
There was also Kenneth Barkman and 18-year-old Adam Shatak. Each got 5 years probation for tampering with physical evidence. Barkman was charged as an adult, and Shatak as a youthful offender. Nathan was sentenced as a youthful offender and served 6 months in Broome County Jail and 5 years probation for criminally negligent homicide. And then, as for the dad, this is what I was getting to earlier, Ronald pleaded guilty to 3 charges in December of 2003, and in the website it said it was expected that he was to be sentenced in February of 2004. But after that, it's kind of just like there's nothing there.
There's nothing.
Mm-mm. And they fought really hard for a bill to get passed as well. And it's the same kind of thing. Like when I click on, like at one point they were like on the website, it's like the bill was passed, like yay.
Right.
And then you click on the point where the bill is supposed to be, like the little like access point,
Yeah.
and it's not there anymore. It just says like link not found, but it brings you to like an official like justice system page.
Right.
So like it's so weird, and I don't know what happened out of it. They had like petitions and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what the website was mainly for. It was so you could petition and sign. And the bill was supposed to hold those accountable for not calling 911 an emergency.
Right, yeah.
And like I said, there was very little to no follow-up. However, I feel that there's a really important lesson to be learned here. Like, the parents clearly stated it earlier, but if you see something, like, simply just say something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because there could have been so many different outcomes. Like, if somebody would have just called 911,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, because, like, those kids probably wouldn't have been charged in that case. Like,
Absolutely.
it would have just been on the father if they would have called, and probably wouldn't have been murder charges.
Oh,
at all.
absolutely not. No, and then also, like, think about Nathan. That was probably, like, one of his best friends.
Right, yeah.
And he can probably never live with himself. And maybe there could have been a slight chance of himself, of redemption, if he had called 911 and gotten his friend help.
Right.
And even then, like, I guarantee you, police wouldn't have been as mad, because then it looks like you're covering up a crime scene, which is what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like, I understand that you were drinking, but also the father would have been the only one charged.
Right,
Because
yeah.
everyone was under the age to be drinking, and the father was there hosting a party. It would have
Yeah.
all fallen on Ronald.
Yeah, on the dad, not them.
The kids involved, would have had such a lesser punishment. And then the big point is that David would be alive.
Yeah.
Like, or there's a good chance that
a
he
good
could be alive,
chance.
you know?
Yeah.
But that's all the time that we have for today. A very special thank you to Lastasia for joining us again today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And I